Joining us is Michelle Malkin, new Newsmax contributor, syndicated columnist, and all-around social media superstar. Michelle, wow, the stuff that you've been afraid of and talking about for a long time seem to really be coming to fruition right now, don't they?
Yeah, and I have very direct and long ties to Seattle itself. I was an editorial writer and columnist in Seattle in the mid to late 1990s, and I saw this movie over and over again. People forget that the Black Bloc anarchist types set downtown on fire during the 1999 World Trade Organization riots. There have been militant animal rights extremists who have operated in the Pacific Northwest, who have terrorized ordinary citizens, activists, and research scientists at universities. The JTTFs in that area have been investigating many of the systemic organized cells in that area. And that's exactly the kind of investigative power that the feds need now. We had President Trump announce on Twitter a couple of weeks ago that he was going to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. But I keep repeating this, and I've tagged our president on Twitter many times. Where is that? Where is that? Because people like Andy Ngo have to hide and have to worry about their families. There are many people who are not in the public eye who are simply targeted by these doxers who operate online. And something needs to be done on the social media front, too, because it should be illegal to do what these people are doing in revealing the private residences of people who are simply expressing their opinions.
Michelle, you know, it's interesting how the media seems to be treating the situation in Seattle as like it's some sort of cute project. There's not serious concern about it, I think, often in the mainstream media's reporting. By the way, something interesting is going on. Crazy stuff is going on all across the country, including your hometown. Is it okay if I say you're in Colorado?
Yes.
Colorado Springs. I understand there is a statue of a Union soldier in Colorado. As far as I know, Colorado wasn't in the Civil War, but tell us what's going on this weekend. And I see that it has been defaced with Black Lives Matter graffiti.
Yeah, this just shows you how ignorant, how arrogant, and how reckless the people who say that they're protesting in the name of social justice and ending racial discrimination really are. The founder of Colorado Springs, General Palmer, was a Quaker who joined the Union Army before he moved out here. And of course, you know that Quakers are not usually the types of people who join the army, but he felt so passionately about doing everything that he could to end slavery that he joined an elite cavalry force, and he won a Medal of Honor. Came out here, made a huge fortune, and donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to a historically Black university back in the East Coast at Hampton University for freed slaves. It doesn't matter to these people. If you look at the monuments and statues that are toppling, not just here in America, but all over the world, it doesn't really matter. There's this sense of indiscriminate vigilantism against every vestige of the historic American nation and the historic Western civilization itself.
Really scary, actually, when you see those statues come tumbling down. Look, there's been a lot of talk about race in America lately, and I actually really want to get your take on this. I feel like a lot of folks aren't using the appropriate language. We're talking about people in blocks. You know, I hear about the white vote. I hear about the black vote. I hear about the Asian community. And when I hear people talk like that, especially on the news, especially in cable news, there never seems to be a recognition for diversity of thought within these groups, as if every white person thinks the same, black person thinks the same, Asian person thinks the same. I'm sure you've noticed it. Does it drive you crazy? Because it sure does drive me crazy.
It does, Greg, and thank you for bringing this up, because the intentional balkanization and the militant tribalism that we're seeing now has festered for many decades. I went to college in the late 80s and 1990s, which was the advent of these multicultural departments and dorms. I went to a crazy college called Oberlin, where they thought racial tolerance meant looking at the race and skin color of incoming freshmen and then putting them in dorms by their race. So I was put into Asian America House, even though I had never identified myself in a hyphenated way. And what we have now is the social justice left, which is aided and abetted, unfortunately, by many cringe-worthy Republicans and establishment Beltway swamp conservatives who do not have the spine to stick up for it and say unapologetically, I am not a racist. I'm not going to let mob rule take over our country and let you destroy it.
Michelle?
One of the things that President Trump said that was so important this week was when he specifically said, you cannot smear millions of people unfairly as racists. That's what we need to stand up to.
I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing. Michelle Malkin, our newest Newsmax contributor. To be continued, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care. Good stuff. She's a warrior.